Now let's have a look at the third question. This question is called purple star. Now in this question, we are asked to write a program that draws a purple star. As usual, we are given some information. The first bullet point in the information asks us or tells us that for more programming space, we need to use the hide menu button above. Secondly, it says your turtle will need to draw a triangle that has size 100. Let's have a look at how we would approach this question. Now, as you can see, our turtle's starting point is right in the middle of our canvas. Secondly, you can see that we have a star with 6 edges or 6 points that it is going to create. So let's have a look at the blocks. Now, as you can see, we do have quite a few blocks here, but our starting point is to draw a triangle that has size 100 because that is exactly what was given to us in the instructions. So let's pull out this particular block here called draw square 10, and let's have a look at the fact that we can change the shape that we are creating to, of course, the triangle that we've been suggested to create. Now, it's interesting because we can also see that there's an option here called star. So if we were to click on this and to change it to 100, it would be intuition as a human to think to yourself, well, that might actually solve the problem. So let's run it and see why it wouldn't be the correct answer. The star here automatically draws a star with 5 spokes. In our case, that doesn't satisfy the requirements because our particular star has 6. So let's go back and change this to a triangle of 100 and see how helpful that is, as that is the instructions given to us in our information. Once I run that information, it is clear to see that there is one triangle that has already been drawn that is exactly in the right spot that we need it to be. Now, before we move on and figure out what the next thing is to do, we can use our mathematical knowledge to really help us identify exactly what we need to do next. This triangle has been drawn right in the middle of the canvas. It's important to understand that unless given specific instructions as to where to start drawing our particular shape, as default, the starting points will be the middle of the canvas. So as you can see, the turtle was right in the middle. As we didn't specify any other X and Y values using the blocks here, we know that our triangle has been drawn absolutely in the center of the canvas. So that solves the reason why the triangle here is exactly where it needs to be. It's quite clear to see using the faint drawing in the background that actually this star is made up of 2 triangles. Now this is interesting because now all we need to do is draw another triangle of the same size. However, we need to rotate the triangle a little bit more in comparison to this triangle here in order to create that second triangle. There's 2 ways to approach this. Of course, we could use the blocks provided to us, particularly the turn right block, and identify a specific number to turn and then draw another triangle as we want it to be the same size. So let's change that to 100. This specifically doesn't give me the right answer. So we could use trial and error to modify the number that we are looking at. So again, I could run this with 45 and see what happens. But because this is a challenge that requires speed and efficiency, what we could do is actually note the fact that we are working with 2 equilateral triangles. Now, using our mathematical knowledge, we know that the angles inside an equilateral triangle are all equal and are all equal to 60. So just using that mathematical knowledge, it would be helpful to use 60 as our starting point for our turn right value. So let's try 60 and see what happens. So I've already tried 90 and I've tried 45, bearing in mind that those 2 haven't been the correct amount of turning degrees as my triangles didn't fall in the right place. So now let's use our mathematical knowledge as opposed to using trial and error to create the final turning, which would make the correct triangle. Let's run this and have a look. As you can see, the mathematical knowledge here has allowed us to create the second triangle in exactly the right position in one go. So you can use the process of trial and error, but what you can also do is look at questions like this, particularly those that are using shapes with the grid, and also with our mathematical knowledge to help us identify and eliminate certain numbers that would be extremely helpful. In this case, 60 was our helpful number, again reiterating the fact that the angles within an equilateral triangle are always equal and each of them are 60. Did you get that answer correct? Did you use your mathematical knowledge? Did you spot that hint? Well done if you did. Now let's look at the solution provided on the website and see how it compares to our answer. So our answer is correct, and as you can see here, another possible answer, meaning there were multiple ways of doing the solution, is that one was to draw the triangle as we did, then to turn right by 90 degrees, turn right by 90 degrees again, and then draw the triangle again. So essentially you can see that there's an extra block here which turns 90 degrees once and then turns 90 degrees again. In our case, we used our knowledge of equilateral triangles and the internal angles that they have in between to identify that we need to turn right 60 in order to draw a second triangle exactly in the right spot without having to turn right twice. So either possible answer is correct.